we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Herron, second. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is item 5, the minutes from the July 7th meeting. Had a chance to look at those. So if you have, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented to you?
So moved.
Mr. Jeter made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kirby, second. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is citizen expression period, and I have a little statement here I need to read. Let me bring it up just a second. Here's the rules for citizen expression period. Citizen expression period is upon the meeting when anyone who wishes to address the board or staff may do so. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium and state your name, where you're from in the county, and or organization you represent. The board may or may not respond to anything you say, but we will take everything that you say into account when making future decisions. Please keep your comments concise and businesslike. If no one has signed up to speak, we have no particular order. We just ask that you take turns and speak your business. Any action will be considered after we close citizen expression period. With that, we are now in citizen expression period.
I'm sure you all know me, Mike Rutowski in Nicholasville. Most of the people get up here, they're up here sometimes complain. And all the meetings I've attended here, I've never seen a more devoted bunch of people who actually work for the people of Scott County, their welfare and well-being, and have taken such an interest. If we had more people such as yourselves, not only in state government, but in federal government, this country would be able to do some amazing things. I consider it an honor and a privilege to know each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, a church had requested a building fee waiver. It's Purchase Community Church. It's a 12 by 46 edition. $79 is the fee, and they'd like to have that waiver by us. We'll vote on here in a few minutes, but it is Purchase Community Church, and so I told them I would do that. So anyway, we'll do that after we close this expression. Anyone else need to speak? If not, we'll come out of citizen expression period, and thank you, Mr. Rodowski, for coming, and we appreciate those kind words. So anyway, thank you, sir, for coming.
And if we had more people like you that had interest, that would come.
Oh, you couldn't stand more people like me.
just you coming, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. The one thing I believe you're going to see people get more involved. I know the school board meeting last night, a lot of people were there. And so there's interest being taken. People see what happens if you don't take interest. Because you've got to have the governing bodies at this level, whatever, held accountable. I really believe you do. And I don't care if it's me or whoever, but hold them accountable for their actions. Honest Purchase Community Church is the fee waiver. We used to do this all the time for the churches. There's no problem with that. But do we have a motion to waive this fee of $79?
I'll make a motion, we waive the fee.
Okay. Ms. Hood made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Tippin, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That's all we have for citizen expression. Next item is item number 7. The Scott Service program is on the agenda, and we have someone here I think wanting to speak. So,
Yes,
if you
sir.
want,
And the rest of the crew's on the way. So
Okay.
do you want to wait on them? Or
we can.
Mr. Feldhauer's going to come as well.
Okay.
But they should literally be here any moment.
Okay,
so.
we'll come back to it.
Okay.
All right. Then item 8, that'll be for the September meeting. So, jumping right down to the Munis software contract. I looked through some of that. There's a lot of pages of it. So, if you would, Ms. Starnes.
That should be on your tablet. Sally has reviewed, as well as myself. This was something that was discussed during the budget process and was agreed to purchase. If you looked at the contract, after the first section, the quote is included. The total cost of the software and Its implementation is $899,192. They do have estimated travel expenses in addition to that, where they come and do on-site conversion and training. And we'll also need to purchase hardware, a new server to operate the system. I've met with Davenport regarding the financing for the software, and I've also, at their advisement, reached out to Sands Anderson to get clarification for using either CARES funding or the new ARPA funding. The CARES Act committee did look at this numerous times, and the majority of the vote was that we could use a portion of the CARES Act funding for the software purchase. But I'm just trying to get some more clarification to make sure that that's going to be okay. Sands Anderson is taking a look at it for us. We do have a part of this purchase in the budget for this year. So this is just the contract to get us started. I'll keep you updated as far as financing options, and I won't send in this contract till we get all that lined up.
Okay. So we will not be voting on anything on this today, correct?
Well, the contract will be the same,
Okay.
but if you'll just give me authorization to sign it once we get the information on the financing, I'll send that out to you.
Okay.
That should be any day now.
All right. So authorize you to sign the contract is all we're doing today, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's not that's needed, they're so outdated, and I think this will help things be a lot smoother and be a lot more efficient for sure, so. Anyway, we'd have a motion to authorize Ms. Starnes to sign this contract.
I'll make the motion to authorize
All right.
Ms. Starnes.
Ms. Hood made a motion, do we have a second?
Really?
Would I second? Sorry.
It's okay.
That's, you're smiling so much, you get me confused. Teasing. All right, Ms. Cribbin made a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Jeremy second, any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carried. Let's go back to item number, is everybody here now with Scott Service?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, you'll come on, please. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Sorry, I've just been a little bit sick.
Well, thank you for protecting us.
Yeah.
All right. Go up to our meeting this morning, glad to have you.
Thank you. Hey, I appreciate it, and okay. My name's Donnie Cox. I went through, got sentenced in May last year to the program. Started July, I think it's the first, July the 1st. And I ended, June 31st. Well, July 1st was my last day. And I just want to say, look, I was skeptical of the program. I'm not gonna lie. You know, going into it and stuff, you know, you hear everybody say this and that, but it really did change my life.
Wow.
It really has. It has given me a different perspective on things. You know, the education and stuff. It's just been a remarkable program.
Oh,
Wow.
And it has, it really, you know, everybody says this and that, you know, how everybody talks about this and it's not good, you heard all negative stuff, but if you really try and you do right, you can be a productive member.
Wow.
And I appreciate this, the opportunity that I've been given, I really do. And I just think that, I know we keep saying we want to give chances and stuff, and people do take advantage of it, but some people do make the best of it, you know. And,
Wow. That is,
To give you a little back information on Donnie, he came to us every day, no complaints. He drove from Lee County every day that he was sentenced to the program. He is currently halfway through getting his GED,
Yeah,
maybe a little over halfway through
wow.
obtaining his GED. So when he has continued, or is continuing
Yeah.
that at the Race 1 classroom in Pennington.
Wow.
So he has children. He was able to stay home with his
Yeah,
family and his,
yeah.
and
Wow.
his children, and he was able to obtain some other certifications
Yeah.
and is looking forward to going back to
Wow.
I didn't bring one, but it's, I got certificates in my North Star digital literacy, which I think every parent that's been out of school for more than 10 or 15 years needs, like, everything that's going on nowadays. I mean, it was an eye-opener for me. You know, I was really scared and nervous about it, you know. But I really did like it, and it really has helped me.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Wow. That's amazing testimony, it really is.
Thank you. And like I said, the program was here. I just had to do it, you know, and people go into it doubting it. You know, nobody likes change, you know, and it's scary for some of us. But it saved my life. It really did.
Wow. Did you have doubts about it going in? Did you?
Yeah.
When you first went in?
Yeah. I didn't really. I thought, well, I'll do what they want me to do to get by.
Right.
But once I got into it and stuff, and I seen that it's a lot different, you know, started getting my GED, and that made me realize, you know, where I was and where I need to be, not just for me, but for my kids too.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, but I'm so thankful. You know, I hate I got in trouble,
Yeah.
but if I wouldn't be here right now.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I
I'm
don't. I mean, it's just, yeah.
I mean, I'm just.
This is what we need to hear, and the folks that put this in, they care about you.
Yes,
And I can
Oh,
tell,
know.
yeah, they
I know.
do. Well, when they hired them, I first met them, you know, I thought, you know, wow, these people, they really do care. I mean, it's not just a job to them.
No.
And so, but anyway,
He was an amazing participant. I mean,
Wow.
absolutely amazing.
well, you look great. I mean, you really do. Have you, you know, how many kids do you have, Donnie?
I have 7.
Do you?
Yeah, and I'm.
You can be busy.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 that's older, it's 21 and 20.
Right.
And my boy, I'm finally seeing I'm getting to see them and stuff now because they went to my mother-in-law. And I just went over the weekend, spent the whole weekend with them and stuff. So we're working on letting them come over and spend the night with us and stuff. So, you know, the doors are unlimited now.
Right.
And I'm just so thankful. I really am. I
Well,
mean,
I can tell.
underneath this mask, I'm small.
Yeah, good. Well, that's great.
I want to thank you all. And it is a good program. It's if you want it to work or not.
Well, it's expensive, but listen, just to hear you talk about this, every penny, it's worth
That's
every
worth
penny.
every
Yeah. You can't put a price on something
No,
like
no,
that.
no.
You know, your life is, you really, sometimes it takes something like this to wake you up and realize
Absolutely.
what you need.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
And it woke me up. It did.
well.
And I'm so thankful, so thankful.
Well, your struggles may not be over, you may have to deal with some things.
Yeah, I
but
do.
But you, just pray that you'll get through it and ask for God's guidance, and I think you will.
Yeah.
Your attitude, I can tell, is good, and that's what it's all about. Keep that good attitude and keep that perspective ahead of you, what you want to achieve, and you can.
Yeah, and that's what, I think you got to have a good attitude and
Yeah.
you need some stuff too, like, I come from both my mom and dad was addicts, so I'm not blaming them, you know what I mean? So I kind of fell into it, you know, and just to see the other side, you know, I had a real good friend that I work out with. He always tried to help me and stuff, but until you want that help, you're not gonna do nothing. You can try to help everybody in the world, but until they want it, they're not gonna do it.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Lord. I wish I could hear, but I was sick. Hey, thank you, Lord. Thank you. I really do mean it.
I can tell.
Anything that you all need from me, I'll be more than willing.
Get that GED.
Yeah, get that
Thank
GED.
you, I'm good. Thank you all.
right.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dylan, you want to come up? This is Dylan Johnson. He's a current participant in the program. We were going to we'll just flip this around since Dylan's got somewhere to be. So you want to tell a little bit about your time while you've been with us?
Yeah. It started, I had violated, and I had a 9-year sentence over my head, and they were, like, literally that day wanting to send me prison for 9 years. And I had a baby on the way and everything, so they ended up giving me a chance with the program. They told me about it, and I was like, oh God, you know, they're just gonna wait for me to mess up and then send me in. But I started in the program. It's really like, it showed me that there's a better way of doing things, you know? Like, you can be successful in life if you work and want it. And yeah, it's been great. I'm gonna be sad when it's over, to tell you the truth. You know, everybody, you got great people here. Every one of them care about you and want you to do good. They're not just waiting on you to fail a drug test or, you know, be late and miss work or something like that to lock you up. They want to see you do good and succeed. And if it wasn't for this program, there's no telling where I'd be right now. Some hole somewhere probably, you know, wasting away. More states had it, I believe it could be a really good thing, but I guess you guys are the first one to start something like this.
There's some other local, regional programs.
Yeah, I've got,
Tell them a little bit about what you're doing at Appalachian Harvest.
He's got like 12 or 13 certificates.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
there's only like 10 he gets, so he's got more.
I've actually created a position for him at Appalachian Harvest.
Wow.
And he's been able to obtain some certificates there in that program and works daily for them through a grant that they receive. So he is helping local farmers.
Wow.
And he also is making some furniture on the side.
Incredible
He's extremely
furniture.
talented.
Wow.
Dylan is
Wow.
extremely talented. But like you said, he has a little one at home and is able to stay home with his wife and
Wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't for this program. But yeah, I got my forklift certification.
he got forklift certification.
On my digital literacy. I'm thinking about maybe getting my CDLs to like possibly drive a truck for Appalachian Harvest. So.
Wow.
Wow. They have an opening, right? They have someone put in their notice.
Wow.
So they reached out to him and asked if that'd be something he would be interested in.
Dylan's been another one that, not one complaint. He came in.
Shows up every day all the
Positive
time.
attitude.
Ready to go.
Wow.
He's got it in his head, he knows what he needs to do, and Dylan's he's a great person, and he's exceeding expectations for sure.
Absolutely.
Wow. Again, without words, I mean, you know, I'm very impressed. I really am. And when we do these things, we look at all the numbers of what it costs. Everything comes down to dollars, you know, how many dollars. Then when you hear these testimonies like this, it's every bit, like I said, Paul, it's every bit worth it to have someone like you to come and you're progressing through it. And
And a young man that has his entire life ahead of
Oh,
him.
yeah.
And
How old are you, then?
I'm 28.
28. Well, you're gonna do well.
I hope so.
And these folks here, I mean, they, like I said, they really do care, and and we do too. We want, you know, we hear this, we've had others come, stand right there and tell us the success that they've had, how much it's helped them, so, but we do need to hear that occasionally, and it makes it all worthwhile.
The alternative was, you know, awful, so.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have been for this, it'd probably be, you know, it'd be bad.
Well, like I told Don, you used to have struggles ahead of you, dealing with maybe, you know,
Life
some of
in
the things.
general.
Yeah, life in general, you're gonna have that, but just,
he's got a great attitude. He will really excel.
good.
I expect to see great things coming
Yep.
in the future.
You wouldn't think you
I
would.
love
One day you might be sitting up
Awesome.
here somewhere like where we are, who knows?
Yeah.
You never know, you know, so. And some of us here probably thought that would never amount to anything, and they're still not much, but we're able to serve our county in a way that we're very blessed to be able to do what we do.
We are.
Doing a good job.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
So hi.
Do we know you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We just kind of did a reverse, but that's fine.
That's all right.
Donnie needed to
Yeah.
get home. So thank you all for letting us come and speak this morning. I have a little bit of a presentation, but I think Mr. Feldhauer wants to speak as
Okay.
well. And then we'll kind of, this is our 2-year anniversary
I know, yeah.
also.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting us come and speak and share.
Thank you all. I didn't prepare statements. I didn't think I'd be able to join you today. And the two folks you heard from, I don't get to hear that side of it much either. I usually get the ones that don't. And, excuse me, have to go back to Duffel. It looks like by our numbers, we're running about a 56% success rate. So that runs well ahead of some of the drug courts, and the recidivism rate in those are a little bit higher. Last I checked, I think about 26%. Normal jail recidivism rate, I think, is about 19%, so we're almost double that. So we're doing really well, I think, with our success rate. And I think you said it best. You really can't put a cost on someone that succeeds. I think Donnie said he was skeptical of the program. I think 4 years ago I was skeptical too, for different reasons. And you know, Marcus and I had talked about this 4 years ago, and we couldn't do it, I think, the way we wanted to. And then Andy came in and he looked at Jessica and I, pretty much said, we're going to do this. We just needed to figure out how. Program's evolving, it's going to have to evolve. There's been a lot of changes in the law, and I think I've talked to some of you about that. So we're working on how to do that, possibly looking at some diversion type programs to keep folks out of jail. I think our number that we saw anyway, the actual jail cost savings, folks in the program that would otherwise be in jail was about 1.6 million is what we figured up. Is that right? Over the 2 years is what the actual participant day for day cost savings was. And then the capital improvements and labor costs that they were out in the community and doing, we estimated to be about $700,000 of work done for the county on projects and for labor replacement for county work. So we're really proud of that, and that's work done back. That's the thank you I think participants do back for the county, put into the county as their thank you. We also have collected revenues. The program does generate some revenue. As you know, we looked at the amount of money they were spending in jail on soups and soaps and phone calls. So they do have a program fee, and we generated revenue from that. And I think, and Frida knows this, I think we've come in under budget both years, so we're proud of that as well. So anyway, I think the county administrator's office, the board, there's no one from the sheriff's office here, so it's a lot of extra work for them as well. The clerk's office, it's a little bit of extra work for them as well. There's a lot of paperwork when folks don't make it and they have to be processed 2 or 3 or 4 times when they do get sanctioned and have to go back to jail and that kind of thing. So I do thank those offices and then all our partners, and I put that in writing and I'll submit that to you all later. But I want to thank you all for giving us another 2 years to run the program, I think it is. And like I said, we're going to try and evolve the program and grow it and keep it going. So thank you. Is there any questions?
How many, I'm just going to be asked, how many participants you have right now in the program, do you know?
Justin told me, he probably knows off the top of his head, and I think
53.
56 is what he told me.
Yeah, wait a second, probably.
56?
We have 3 graduating
Well, that
next
whole
week,
information.
so.
Okay.
We'll be at 53, but yes.
Yeah, well, that's really good, it is. Is there any way, if you could take like a video clip of these folks that spoke and show it to the new ones coming in? If you could do that,
We
this is,
actually have talked to a couple of the participants about coming back and doing peer support. Because you are exactly right. You know, they hear things and they, rumors fly.
Yeah, if they're sitting in jail and we pull them out of the jail, they're hearing from somebody that got out of the
Wasn't
program.
successful.
Right.
Hearing all this bad
Yeah.
stuff. So they really need to hear from the ones that.
But that's a great idea, almost like part of our intake. They could watch a video with Donnie.
I was saying in court the other day, I mean, they hear the ones that have failed because they're in court explaining
Right.
why they didn't do what they were expected to do. So we have talked about doing a kind of a community group, but I think getting the message out that more people succeed, more
Yes.
folks succeed than
Yes.
fail at this point is a good message that we need to send.
And our judges do a great job of allowing, like Donnie's completion hearing was, like 2 Thursdays ago, and the judge allowed him to speak and was very complimentary of him. And the courtroom was jam-packed that day, so it was a great day for everyone to be able to hear.
And like gave him 20 minutes just to,
Just
you know,
to
have-
talk.
Have his go at it, and it was very sweet.
Yeah, it was very effective too. There were several inmates that were able to hear that. And that's another thing you can't put a cost on. The folks that, you know, Marcus and I had talked about, and Andy too, he had been there and I had been there with him. You know, we had prosecuted some folks, had done 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 times. And I can't really put a cost on savings on that. You know, I don't know if someone's going to reoffend, but, you know, we could at least give them the tools to go out, show them that they can get up out of bed, even if it's community service, they can get up out of bed, they can do a hard day's work, it's not going to kill them. They can stay off the drugs, we can
Yes.
get them the help they need.
Yes.
If it's a mental illness that they're masking with through substance abuse, we can start to peel back that onion and get that help. That's the participant we're trying to identify.
And as Donnie said, his parents were addicts, he fell into that, but he has 7 children, one of which is very young. So now he can be a part of his family
Yeah.
and show his children that that's not the path you have to take.
Hopefully to break that mold.
Yes.
Yeah, you broke that path
Absolutely.
and,
Right.
and put him on
And
Positive
Dylan
path.
as well has a young child at home.
Just a quick question on the folks that have graduated the program. What type of follow-up do you do with them? Make sure they're still on the straight and narrow? Yeah.
Very closely.
I figured you did.
We actually probably weekly have
Okay.
contact
Yes.
with most of them. Now, some of them we reach out to, you know, in the first couple weeks and the first month and, you know, on down, but.
And a lot of them just stop back in the office, and just, hey, just
Really?
wanted to say hi. And,
Wow.
you know, just a regular
So-
surprise, and it's so nice.
The ones I haven't heard from, I haven't seen their name anywhere, so.
Well, news is good news.
And a lot of them just say, you know, I miss it.
Wow.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. That speaks
If you've never
volumes.
had structure and then all of a sudden have structure, you know, it's calming to know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is where I'm supposed to go, this is what I have to do to meet these requirements. So, you know, it's like Donnie said, change is scary for some, but then it's almost like you can take a breath. I don't have to think what my next step is gonna be.
Right.
Have you followed that? And some of them have went on to get jobs and, you know, those type of things.
Absolutely. And all of our, or most of our participants are enrolled in courses through Race 1, and they are able to track through their data job placement
Right.
up to a year out of the program. So they've been really helpful to us in terms of being able to track that information.
Somebody created a job for somebody else.
Dylan,
Was that Dylan? Okay.
they created a position for him in that position.
I hope that'll work out.
He's impressed somebody. Get him to do that.
I get late night emails about it. I was just laying in bed thinking about Dylan and what to do here.
Did you bring a picture of the planter box?
Justin has it on his phone, but
He's very talented.
he's very talented.
Out of pallets, he'll make planter box benches, just on his spare time at
Never done that
Budget
before.
Harvest.
Yeah,
I mean, they're incredible.
he's extremely talented.
And so many people out there are such a waste of talent they have and the addiction
Or
thing
don't
takes
know
over.
that they have a talent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
True. Yeah. True. Wow. Very impressive. I'm glad we're doing this, and so we see the results of it.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Were you able to, or did we just email?
Yes, we have written.
Okay. We have just a small little PowerPoint of a couple of community projects we've been a part of.
Sorry, Mr. Bricky.
He's still with us.
I'm just gonna get.
You may be able to.
Little
see.
covered up.
Yeah. So these are just a couple of different.
You go, Jessica.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just
One on
let
the
it-
right.
okay.
Yeah.
So these are just a couple of sites, and this has been, most of these items have been recently, but just a couple of sites that we maintain throughout the county. This is APCA. Of course, we also do interior daily cleaning in their weekly cleaning in their offices, but that's just some exterior. This was Bushmill at Christmas, so our participants were able to, they work at Bushmill daily to keep the grounds clean, but also they decorated the mill for Christmas and did a great job there.
We did a very big cleanup.
With the help of Randall and Anthony and.
That was past
Stacy.
painting rock.
Yes.
So-
I think we got about 72 tires.
Tires.
Or I guess it ended up being like 121 tires because we did it the next day as well, all around the county.
That's a mattress.
And
Yeah,
we're-
that's a
we're
trailer full of tires.
Currently talking with Mr. Cookenauer about some more cleanup.
Yes, we did another one this month.
Went all snakes are away.
And those tires were like down the
You
embankment.
can't really see, but that middle picture, participants are way down the embankment, and they had almost like an assembly line getting them up, but, here's just some pressure. That's Keith Park, to your left, and then that's, Gate City High School.
And Ryko High School.
Ryko.
They painted the railing at Ryko and the trim, I guess.
And then this is just some local landscaping, beautification, things that we've been able to maintain. The bottom right picture, Hanging Rock, we actually have a MOU with the forestry department, and so we take care of some cleanup there every 2 weeks or so and maintain that for.
I'm up almost daily, I noticed a big improvement. It's
Great, great. That, you guys were just up there
We were
Monday?
just up there Monday too.
We did the landscaping at Lenawisco as well.
Yes, that middle picture with the round, yeah, exactly. That's Lenawisco there in the middle. This is the golf course, so they were able to repair the overlook, which was much needed, as you can tell from the picture on the left. So that's, we've had a lot of heard a lot of good things back from patrons up at the park about how nice it looks up there as well. And this is Grogan, so the fence had fallen, or had been pushed down, I guess, from all the debris. So
All the rain and the flood pushed everything from the creek and trees and just pushed down the fence, so they were able to get all that debris off and repair the fence.
And we're maintaining the grounds now at Grogan Park.
So what also brings us here today is we received, or are the recipient of a National Achievement Award through NACO. So we went to Washington, D.C. and were able to accept the award, and I have the award here to present to you all, and you want to pass it around, but keep it. This is your all's award. So it is, we received an award for innovation in a criminal justice and public safety program. So we are extremely honored and couldn't have done it without the support of the board, couldn't have done it without the support of Freedom Bill and other county staff, couldn't have done it without the support of our community partners. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
We are extremely blessed and thankful, but it's our participants that do the work daily. Justin and Shannon are boots on the ground out there, just making sure things are running smoothly, and I couldn't thank them enough. I couldn't thank you all enough. But we're proud. We are proud of that award and are proud of what we have done these past 2 years. Absolutely.
Like Mr. Bellard said, it's evolving every day. You know, we have to evolve and adapt to
And going
problems.
to the conference,
Yeah.
we were able to sit in on some collaboration meetings, and a lot of people are having the issues that we're having here. You know, a lot of large communities as well, and so it was nice to be able to know that everybody is looking at these types of programs to, you know, because they understand people need help and people need chances and people need support.
Get some great ideas too from the
Absolutely.
bigger localities, but
Try to
we learned a
utilize
lot
that
from
here
it,
on a
yeah.
smaller scale.
The first time I heard about a program like this, Wise had it, called Wise Works, I think, or something, what their program is. And I said, we need to do something similar, back several years ago. But anyway, I think you all maybe doing better than they are.
Yeah, no, it's, like I said, when Marcus and I, and then Andy and I looked further, I think Wise was one of the ones, Russell County had one, Marcus traveled to West Virginia and looked at one there, that did their own drug testing and a lot more comprehensive things. We weren't, you know, able to do everything we wanted to look at, but he and I, and Andy and I also, we say in court all the time, we don't punish the addiction, you know, we punish the crimes they do while they're addicted. But what does that mean? I mean, how do we treat the addiction? It's kind of fallen on the criminal justice system to treat mental health and substance abuse. So, you know, we're learning and we're trying to find the tools to do that. We know that incarceration or repeated incarceration just isn't working. When you're putting in the kids and parents and grandparents in jail 2-3 years at a time, every 2 or 3 years, it's not going to work. So we're trying to figure out a better way, and that's what this program's allowing us to do.
And the success stories are worth it all. It's incredible.
Well, we do thank you all for coming.
Thank
and
you all.
Thank you.
Very good information. We need this occasionally to justify what we do here, so it's good to have you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Happy
2
anniversary.
years.
Thank you all.
Okay. Again, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
All right. Next item is item 10, the fire training facility AEP easement. You have that on your computer, get a chance to look at it, so Mr. Arndt, if you want to briefly tell us any more about it, you can.
AEP has requested an easement to set 2 power poles for the fire training facility. The easement information is included in your packet. The cost will be $5,891.44, and it will be paid from the Capital Projects Fund. They will be setting 2 poles, and the final part will be buried to the building.
That amount, $5,000, how much?
$5,891.44.
Coming right along with that thing out there, so this is all part of it, and then, so, anyway.
And just as a note, Mr. Bricky, Jeff Bricky, was able to get the 2 fire hydrants that was needed for the fire training facility donated. So that'll be
yeah.
pretty large savings because they're pretty expensive. So just an update on that those will be donated.
Good.
All right, we need to vote on this to approve this amount and the easement, so do we have a motion to do something?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tipton made a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Who?
Darrell.
Darrell. All right, Mr. Jeter, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 11, the opioid national settlement resolution. There's a lot to that. I hope you had a chance to look at it. And so, Mr. Arndt, if you would, if you want to.
That information's on your tablet as well. From what I have saw that's included in the information, our estimated share would be 0.421% of the settlement. And we would get 15%, and it would be out of the whole settlement. And we would have to use that for specific items, and I have not yet saw what those specific items will be, but it will be toward combating the opioid issues in our community. So we will have restrictions with the money that we receive. And our council that we've been working with for the past couple of years on this opioid settlement, that's where the documents originated, and they have requested that we get those approved.
Okay. When that happens, is there any way we go back and reimburse the county for some of the expenses, the jail cost or whatever? Do you know if that's possible or not?
I don't know that would be possible.
Okay. Sheriff reached out to me about some things on this where their costs too, trying to deal with some of the stuff they're dealing with. But all this will be down the road somewhere as to how this is, what we do with it, other restrictions on it. It's sort of like the tobacco money we got at one time, and it went into a lot of economic development, but this money will be a little bit different, I'm sure. One thing that Tennessee did on that tobacco money, they used theirs to balance their general, back in their, they had a hole in their budget, so they used it for that, and it was gone in 1 year. It was a state here, they put it in that fund, and it's been used over and over and over for economic development, and I think it was a good thing that Virginia did with that instead of using it to balance the budget. like Tennessee did. But anyway, we need to vote on this, on this resolution, correct, Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we need a motion to vote on this resolution.
So moved.
Mr. Jeter made a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Ms. Hood, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 12, Planning District 1 Performance Contract.
That's on your tablet as well. Every 2 years, we need to update the planning district, not the planning district, the Planning District 1 Behavioral Health Services Performance Contract. It was a very large document, and it is good for 2 years. So if you could take a look at that if you haven't already, and we'll just need approval to approve.
And we do this every 2 years, correct?
Correct.
Yep. All righty. And it's 236 pages of it. I didn't get to read all of that, but anyway. All right. Need a motion to approve this performance contract with Plain District 1.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tipton made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hearn, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 13 is the Duffel Days fireworks permit. We need to look at that. Anyway, Mr. Orange, if you would, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. You have the certificate of liability insurance there. They've done everything they're supposed to do, looks like, from what I've seen. And so then we need to approve this permit.
And the EDA has also, the majority of them has approved for the location. The location that the fireworks will be set off is up at the Technology Center. That's the same location that's used every year. So I did hear back from Ms. Horton this morning that the majority of the EDA members are in agreement as well to let them use that property. There's 2 documents, like Mr. Mann said, a certificate of insurance that does show us as additional insured, and then the actual permit that I will send to Mr. Carter.
Okay. In saying that, they had the fireworks at Dungannon this year. The 4th of July fireworks was unbelievable, and it's probably the best I've seen that they ever had there. I love fireworks. I like watching it, but anyway, I hope everybody go down and watch this too when they do it. The Labor Day weekend is when they have it, Duffel Day, so I do encourage people to get out and be a part of that and see that. And Ben's didn't have it last year. This year maybe it should be pretty good. So anyway, need a motion to approve this permit.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Harris made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Tipton, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the PACS, which is the company that does the real estate and personal property stuff. So you want to discuss that, Ms. Norris?
Yeah, in your packet, extra packet on the table, I've included an email from Mr. Rife, and it lists our current balance of what he still has in his possession for personal property and real estate collections. And you can see amounts referred total $2,409,291, and that's the amount that's not collected that he's still working on is $610,606. He receives the real estate every 2 years. In the past, 2001, 2012, those were being sent in 1 year, after 1 year delinquent. But he told me that present cycle is he's receiving the real estate after 2 years delinquent. And personal property is no longer being referred for collection because of the DMV stops. And at your request, he said he would be willing to let Mitzi know that those need to be sent as well, because he still can collect taxes on personal property even though DMV stops are being implemented at the local level.
Okay. What do we need to do to encourage her to get that to him?
Well, it sounds like if it's your thoughts to have that done, that you want those personal properties sent up as well,
Yes.
that he will work with her to get that information.
Yes.
That's how it sounds to me in the last sentence of the email.
she doesn't. I mean,
Good
is that
question.
something that we're gonna have to,
Would she have to abide by what we vote on here today? Did it maybe encourage her?
Yeah, I mean, it would let her know that that's your request, that they be
Yes.
sent on as well.
Right.
Well, personal property, I mean, it's, the thing about these things roll off after 5 years.
yes.
And it's not collectible. Even if it's a car or whatever, if they sell the car, it's not collectible. So wait until the last, he mentioned once about doing some, he gets the last year that they're due, and there's other years he could collect, but he doesn't get that. He doesn't get to it's the last year ready to roll off, that's when he gets it. That's back some time ago. So,
And now tags can be renewed for 3 years.
Mhm.
So if you renew your tags, then you have a DMV stop, it's not
Doesn't mean anything.
it's not gonna help you do that collection during that period of time.
Now tell him, go forth and,
We can word that in form of a motion to do that, to encourage our treasurer office to do that, and to, the personal property, turn it over to him and do this every year on the real estate, instead of 2 years. Good. So, word that in a motion some way, I don't know if whoever wants to do that.
Well, I'll put it in a motion that we give Mr. Rife the permission to do what he's availed himself to be able to do for.
With cooperation with the treasurer's office.
Exactly. We know that that's where the cooperation's gonna come from, so yeah, I'll be happy to do that motion.
Okay.
He's asking for which years? For example, 6 months or a year delinquent and back. Have that in your motion, which years you're asking for. It would help him.
You talking about on
Well,
the,
anything that's over, if it's a year or longer, then it, would you specify the year? Is that what you're saying?
we're talking about on the PP, personal property?
Whatever you're directing him to get from her, you need to say what time period you're asking for.
Anything over a year or older,
For both.
for both personal property and real estate.
yes.
Do I need to amend my motion to say that?
You would.
Is that the,
Well,
is that the soonest that we can do that? I mean, when is, I mean, can you do it? You said something about 6 months. What was, is that,
He, in his example, he lists, for example, 6 months or a year delinquent and back.
Well, I would say 1 year, I mean, if that's
Yeah.
what we're doing before.
1 year.
And 2 years definitely, to me, is not acceptable. I compare what we do to other places, and if you see it, the Kingsport Times, they'll have listed in there, with 1 year delinquent, they'll have 3 or 4 pages of people's names, they post them, and so they do that when they're a year. And so, I'm not saying we should do that in particular, but we still need to, once a year delinquent, need to go collections to go after.
Yes. Has the second notices been sent this year?
They will not be sent out.
Okay.
And that's an issue too. They should have been sent out in February, and for whatever reason, they were not. And that involves some legality on publishing names too. You have to do
Yes.
that before you can publish names. We talked about that already. Don't want to beat that to death, but still, it's if that's not done, there's some other legal things that comes into play that we're not allowed to do because that wasn't done. So, anyway.
I just feel like the quicker the better. Whatever,
Absolutely.
I mean, if we can turn that in, because we're already behind,
Yes.
and if it's, people have to pay their taxes. I've always heard, and I've been sort of quiet about it for the last year or so, but I've always heard, somebody's told me that, there's only 2 things that is, final in this life, and that's dying and paying taxes. Well, evidently, that's not true,
No.
because, people are not paying their taxes. And, here we are having to cut and cut and cut, and we went through this school ordeal, and some of them, they didn't agree with, not collect the collection of the taxes, but that is a big deal. You know, and I still don't know how much delinquent we actually have. You know, we don't know for sure. I mean, it's over $1 million, I guess. But
It's well over a million.
if it's $100, people have to pay their taxes.
Yes.
One thing too, people, once they get in the hole gets deeper and
Yeah.
they're less likely to pay.
And
But if they're forced to pay the first year instead of 2 years, then you may be more apt to get it, you know,
Right.
and to keep them, keep them on track to pay. But once they get behind, they don't want to ever get caught back up. And so anyway, do you have how that's worded for the minutes on his motion?
So I would just amend it to, for 1 year for the real estate and 1 year also for the P&P, if that's what the board's, yes.
That sound all right, Sally?
And older, 1 year
And
back.
1 year back,
1 year back,
yeah.
okay.
All right, Mr. Tippin has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second that motion.
All right, Ms. Hood, second.
No, Ms.
Ms.
Kirby.
You know, I looked over there, but anyway, you know who you are.
May I change seats with
No,
Mr. Jeter?
You cannot. We like you there. Sorry about that.
Ms. Kirby, will you look at him and smile again?
All right. Any discussion? Don't tear me up. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. So hopefully, the treasurer's office will take this, I'm not gonna say more seriously, but maybe so, you know, that they will keep this thing going. We operate here on people paying their taxes. It ain't, we don't operate on promise or whatever.
We're Stark County.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add to that, I think it's very important, and I think to the large extent, most of the constitutional officers operate in concert and with and in partnership, if you want to call it that, together as teamwork. With the Board of Supervisors, we all have to work together in the county. All the entities have to work together to come together for the common good of the people. And so when we have a breach in that, and that's what Jeremy was talking about, then it hurts. And it hurts others, and others are affected by it. Not just the school board, I mean, there's others, you know, it could be the sheriff's department or some other entity of the county that suffers as a result of it. So I think it's just we all have to work harder to communicate and work better together. Every agency, every office.
Yes.
I've said this before, when it comes to the budget cycle, I would think that it would be appropriate to have the treasurers have a corner set up. They need to face the camera and they need to answer to the people. The other offices, you know, as well. Many of the towns and cities and counties do this type of stuff. I don't know why Scott County doesn't do that. But that could be a part of our budget workshop when it comes to that point in time. Because they too are answerable to the people.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I say something? Marshall, you're exactly right. And what this will boil down to eventually is the voters, constitutional officers, and the school board. We don't have any control. So we need to start talking to the taxpayers and let them know exactly what's on. They're the only ones that can control this, and you really need transparency from all these people. We need to know why these personal property taxes are not being turned in. School board, we need to know exactly what's going on, and we don't. We've forfeited them. We've done everything we can. We're not getting answers. We need to get answers so we can get it out to the taxpayers. The next voting season time is very, very important. People need to know what's going on. Thank you, Marshall, for saying what you did.
And thank you, Mike, for saying what you did. I loved it.
And you know, something that I've said a few times, you know, we need to start and I, you know, one thing I have learned that we have very little control over constitutional officers. But when these next tax tickets are sent out, there needs to be something on there showing where this money is going.
Absolutely.
There needs to be, I don't know, I've mentioned a pie chart, that might be too complicated, I don't know. But if it's just a list of where this money is going, the school system, the sheriff's department, and so on, you know, the people need to know, and have on there how much delinquent taxes there are.
Yes.
Put it on the tax ticket. But from what I've learned, I don't think we can force anybody to do anything.
Nope.
But the people want to know this. They want to know where their money is going. There's other places that does it. There's other places, when they send their tax tickets out, it's on there. They can see it. But you know,
What about once a quarter? Okay, you publish in the newspaper, like Jeremy said, a pie chart or something like that. Now I know I've lived in a lot of different places. What they've done too is they have listed people's names in the newspaper who are delinquent in their taxes.
yeah.
Yeah, we did that back a few years ago.
You might want to consider doing that.
Well,
we can't.
we can't.
You can't?
Because the treasurer has not sent out the second notices, and that ties our hands.
Yeah, the
Okay.
delinquent notices are not sent out like
Yeah.
it should have been, so.
But you know,
What you think about transparency, which I
Yeah.
think is awesome. And that's why, it's an honor to know you guys. Well, what about maybe once a quarter or twice a year, you do a pie chart or you do a list? This way you are keeping the voters informed.
Yes.
You're telling them, look, this is where your money is going.
yeah.
It'll show them that you are good stewards. I trust you guys, okay? But a lot of people, because of this current situation, what's going on, they think all politicians are crooks. But if you do it once, or twice a year, or once a quarter, either a list or a pie chart, I guarantee you that's gonna thrill people. And maybe, just maybe, it'll spark people to start getting involved.
Thanks, sir. The one thing that we've had happen here in the past, any of the constitutional officers we requested will come here and answer any question. Anything we ask, but except for the treasurer's office. And then to come and speak and say, I'm not going to take questions. But why? Why would you not, if you're doing your job, why would you not want to entertain a question? And so you think about the others, whether it's the sheriff, Commonwealth Attorney, Commissioner of Revenue, they come, and you ask them anything you want to ask, and they're willing to answer, except for one. So I don't know, I say more than I should about things, but it just, to try to do this, and you all trying to do what you do, and we, and our hands are tied, literally tied.
Mr. Chairman, the people that do come, as you said, and are involved are people whom realize and they value the trust of our citizens of our county. And so it would be great if all would be on board, to do that. We are all accountable.
Yes.
Well, I don't mind,
And if
anybody comes right here and asks us any question, I don't mind. I mean, if you better be prepared to answer. If you can't, I don't know. But just the fact that I didn't do my job in February, and we can't do our job because they didn't do their job, that's not acceptable. It's simply not acceptable in the way of the scheme of things, so.
Just one last note. I'm a military retiree and been around the world a time or two. But I remember back in the late 70s in Georgia, the tickets that you're all talking about, we would get that printed, and it would break down our monies as to how much, based on what we made or whatever, was spent to whatever agency or whatever. So, yes, it is a thrill. This was back in the late 70s. What year is this?
21.
How many years ago was that? Lord,
50?
Did y'all get the chart I sent out during budget
I did.
that showed, okay.
Mhm. So, yeah, either a printout or a pie chart, or a combination of, it's a simple thing, I would think, with the technology that we have today to be able to do that. And,
A pie chart's too crowded because unless you set a limit, like if it's any budget below $500,000, you leave it out. Because it's too many departments and too much jumble for a pie chart. That's why I sent it the way I did as a bar graph.
Good.
Just simple wordage would work. Just something, I would like to make that request. And I've talked to several people, they would like to know. It's not just me, it's the people of the county.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think all of our officers owe them that, to be transparent,
Absolutely.
to be able to show how they're spending their tax money.
I've got a question. Our tax tickets goes out and they're supposed to be paid by November the 20th.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have to wait until a second notice goes out before we could print the delinquent taxes in
Yes.
the paper, or can we print them after November the 20th,
Directly after.
directly after?
I think you have to wait for the second notice.
You do. That's Virginia code. Wait until you have to wait until that second notice goes out.
So we ain't never gonna get to print them, I don't guess.
No. That's what I was wanting to see with the second notices, if they had even been sent out. If they don't get sent out, then we don't have the option of printing them in the paper.
I should have caught it whenever it was requested, we moved some money from that line item for printing tickets. I didn't question why. Well, they were gonna use it, so be no second printing, no, so that's why the money was there, and we moved it to whatever line item we moved it to, but, should have realized then, well, they're not, something going on. And I've never really understood the reasoning why they weren't sent out. I've heard, but, that's why I've heard it to be here to tell, why were they not sent out? Is that a hard question?
I know the last time we printed them, a lot of people came in and paid, didn't they?
They did.
When did we do that? It's been a long time.
About 2014 maybe or something, somewhere there about.
When you put it in the paper.
And Lisa, she worked on it, putting that together, because, she'd put in a lot extra work just to get it where it looked right in the paper to do that. And, it was a lot of work to get that done. All right, we beat this to death. Anything else? We voted, didn't we?
We did.
All right, I get lost in the shuffle here. But anyway, anything else on that? And we do need to talk about it, folks. I know we spend a lot of time talking about this, and we get accused of, I'll say it, playing politics sometime, where all we're asking is do your job. All right, next item is item 15, Ms. Vickers on bookkeeping.
Please accept Keep Virginia Beautiful 30 and 30 Green Litter Control Grant. If accepted, please establish budget code 35200-6005 and appropriate $500 for monies received and deposited at the Treasurer's Office. And please accept Virginia Tourism Corporation DMO Drive Tourism 2.0 Grant BTC 21-198. If accepted, please establish budget code 72600-5630 and appropriate $10,000 for money received and deposited at the Treasurer's Office. And that's all of the grants.
Do we have a motion on this grant request?
So, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tipton made a motion.
Ms. Kruby?
Ms. Kruby
I'll second it.
All right, we gotta have a little fun with this.
Of course.
All right, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Next item is the appointments. Ms. Tina, if you would.
We did not receive any applicants for the tourism committee or the planning commission.
There were some people interested in the planning commission, but we'll talk tourism here first, but I thought they would apply. But anyway, let's go through the tourism committee first. Any nominations for the tourism?
Is she not, Morgan?
Yes, I have her, she sent it to me last night. She said she completely forgot to get this sent before now.
That's for the planning commission?
Yeah,
It is for the planning commission.
Let's do the tourism, then we get to that.
Okay.
All right. Any nominations for the tourism committee?
I'm going to forward this to you. Same thing.
If not, we'll look at that next month, and I'd say we could get somebody to serve on that. Very important. All right, Planning Commission.
I will nominate Miss Morgan Snodgrass Jennings. I meant Morgan Jennings Snodgrass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my bad. I'm sorry.
Any other nominations for the Planning Commission?
I'll make a motion nomination cease and we'll vote by acclamation.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jeremy second. All in favor, vote saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So motion carried. Building Code Appeals Board. I think we have one application on that.
You have one applicant, Michael Paskey.
Yep. And he's present and accounted for.
Yes, I am.
All right. So I want to nominate.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Rataski.
All right. Any other nominations? Need a motion, nomination cease, vote by acclamation.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Tipton made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Dieter, second. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome to the Appeals Board.
Hey,
All right.
I told you I was gonna get the ball.
All right. Next item 17, Ms. Gateway.
I don't have anything today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for our county attorney? All righty. Next item is item 18. The county administrator will do claims.
The general fund balance is $4,564,068 after the August claims. Claims total $1,234,411.42. Some of the larger claims, Armstrong Construction Company, that's the first payment toward the fire training facility, $164,225.26. We've started paying requests for fire and rescue. Duffel requested $30,000 of their allotment, and Nicholsville Rescue $30,000. Mosley Architects is still working on the space needs assessment. They had a payment of $5,196. We had Scott County Health Department $63,671.75 for first quarter. That was the majority of these payments, as you can see the descriptions. Southwest Virginia Regional Jail Authority $400,780.96 for first quarter. And Wingate Appraisal Service invoice number 533,000. They have about 2,000 parcels remaining with the reassessment, so they're almost complete. So today we just need the claims approved in the total of $1,234,411.42.
Let me ask you something. I'm on the Scott County Fire Committee, and the $5,000 we were in the budget for them, did they request that?
Not that I'm aware of.
They needed. We met last night, and I thought it would be on here today, so
I've not received a request for it.
can we amend this and add that to the claims today?
These have already been printed. We'll have to do it in an additional check, but we can go ahead and get that done.
Okay, but can we include this in this vote here, or do we need to do it separately?
You don't have to do it separate. It'll be included in next month's.
Okay, well, they need the money now, so they get the
That's
check
fine.
today. They need it today. We met last night, and they're against it, so anyway.
I don't know that it'll be done today, but
All right.
first of next week.
Sooner
Is
the
that
better.
too far? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but they are, we met last night on it, and they're to the deadline on this thing, so anyway.
The checks are already printed. They just don't go out until you approve in the meeting.
All right.
They're usually mailed today, but they've already been printed.
Okay. All righty, anyway, look at that. And this in the general fund, that's after we pay these?
Yes.
So we're doing pretty decent then as far as the general fund.
Just a little bit ahead of this time last year.
Yeah. A lot better than we were in 19 and 20, 2019 and 2020. All right, need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills.
All right, Mr. Gribby made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Tipton, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Do you want to pick that check up for the fair, or do you want it mailed?
Pam has the address to mail it to them, the lady at Nicholsville.
Okay.
So,
I'll get that from her then.
okay, she has it, she's there for the meeting last night. And let me tell you something, Pam Cox is doing a wonderful job in this stuff. I'm telling you, she really does, and she's there at every meeting, and she's helped coordinate and put things together with that, and so she really has been an asset to that committee, and so they really appreciate her. You know, she was there late last night. I left, it started to rain, I was on the two-wheeler, and so I had to get out there. It's come a storm, but anyway, she does a good job of it. All right. Anything else?
I have several under miscellaneous.
I thought you did. I'm waiting for you. All right.
Okay, the first one we'll do is the Packer truck financing. We went out to bid for a new Packer truck, and we received 2 bids. The lowest bid was for a new, unused 2020 Peterbilt New Way Packer truck. The total amount is $236,567. So we also did a request for financing, and we received 4 responses. The best response we feel is Truist Bank, which was BB&T and SunTrust combined to make Truist Bank, and the interest rate of 1.27%. And I just need authorization, if the money's in the budget to make the debt payment, I just need authorization to award the contract on the Packer truck and to go with the Truist on the financing.
Okay. Do it all in one vote.
That's fine, as long as it's okay with Sally.
I better do them separate.
The first one is to authorize the payment of for her to sign the contract on the new Peterbilt. It's 2019. Bill and I talked about this, and it's a good deal, sounds like, on that truck, I mean, from what you're getting. And so, anyway, $236,567 is the cost on it. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Jeter made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Herron, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is to the financing at 1.27%. The bank, again, you said was BB&T?
Truist.
Truist.
It's the new name.
Okay, Truist, all right. At 1.27%, that's pretty low. Right. But anyway, do we have a motion on the financing?
I make the motion.
All right. Ms. Hood made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Kruby, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
The next thing I have is a budget update. I sent out an email about this, I guess it was in July. And when I was doing the appropriation resolution, I found an error in the budget where the Operation Safe Schools grant I did not pick up that sale in the Excel spreadsheet, which totaled $282,715. You did appropriate the correct amount, but the deficit would be $1,611,075. The budget that you looked at did have Operation Safe Schools broke out. You saw all those numbers. It just did not pick up in the total.
What was the deficit again?
$1,611,075. So that's the bad news. The good news is the regional jail year-end reconciliation turned out better than we anticipated. We were budgeted with 165 inmates last year. We ended up with 189, which left us with a proposed reconciliation of $200,000+. The per diem, where we held federal inmates and Bristol inmates, that allowed more revenue, which decreased our per inmate per diem from $29 and change to $24.67 and change.
Wow.
So our reconciliation amount was $42,000. And our inmate count for DOC inmates, I worked with the regional jail to come up with the cost of what it actually cost us to hold the increase in 2-year DOC inmates. Because of COVID, they did not move any inmates out until vaccines became available. So that total was a little over $200,000. So when you take those two things into consideration, we're looking at a deficit of $1.1 million instead of 1.6, because that's going to be some savings already in the budget for this year. And I do need to ask you to appropriate an additional $30,482.06. Last budget year, we received an insurance payment for a wrecked sheriff's office vehicle in the amount of $26,648. You also approved a transfer from one of their line items into the vehicle replacement line item, which totaled $3,834.06. So those two total $30,482.06, and we need to appropriate that amount into the vehicle revenue replacement line item for fiscal year 22. So when that vehicle comes in, it can be paid for.
Okay. All right, need a motion to appropriate the amount, $30,482.06. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to do that?
So moved. Ms.
All right.
Ruby.
I got you now. Mr. Cooper made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
They said second. I knew you were going to. All right, thank you all. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
And the last thing I have, well, not the last thing, but next to the last thing, the Vaco Conference will be held November 14th through the 16th in Norfolk. And if anyone is interested in attending, we need to go ahead and secure a hotel room for you. So if you want to decide today or think about it and let me know by email if you would like to attend, or we can go ahead and get that reservation held for you. Again, it's November 14th through the 16th, and it's in Norfolk.
Why are they having it there?
The homestead is being remodeled.
Okay.
Remodeled.
You're driving Norfolk, it ain't easy. 14th, okay, Sunday through Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody interested now, or you want to wait to make a decision? You probably know pretty quick. I don't know how quick those rooms will be taken, but it probably happen sooner than later. And I plan on going to it, so.
So Danny?
Yeah.
Okay. And if anyone else wants to attend, if you'll let me know by maybe the 15th of the month, be good, or we can go ahead and get you a hotel room.
And if we go, we take maybe one of the county vehicles, Explorer or something, and we can go, and it saves a little bit of doing that, and but we do need to attend that. And when Joe Herron always went, he was on the transportation board, I think, on the board they had there. So anyway.
What was the dates again on that?
November 14th through the 16th.
Charles said he wanted to go. He was going to deer hunt this year. You deer hunting this year again? I thought you were. Do I know him or what?
Okay. So the last thing I have, Scott County Telephone reached out to me, Mr. Franklin and Mr. Frazier, about a grant that they are applying for that's due on September 14th. And they have requested us to consider, or you to consider offering a match for their grant, either from CARES Act funding or from ARPA funding. So if you could give me your guidance, if you want the CARES Act committee to take a look at that. If Sands Anderson doesn't feel CARES Act money would be a fit for the software, that'll free up some money there. And I asked them what amount they were looking for, and they said whatever amount we could put in would be appreciated. So they didn't give me a specific amount. They did tell me that since 2000, $30 million has been spent in Scott County on broadband. And this new grant, they hope that would get broadband into every home in the county.
Is there a deadline for that? Because I've been getting some calls about when we're getting updated internet.
I do not know a deadline on when they will have everybody done.
Well, it was 5 years. Wasn't it over a 5-year plan? Is that initially, is that what they said, 5 years? That's what I was thinking, but.
And I do know that that's one of Vaco's priorities for this General Assembly session they're in now was broadband funding. So we may get money for from the General Assembly for that. I don't know at this point, but whatever guidance you want to give us on how you want to handle, if you want the committee to look at it, either pot of money, we could do that, and get them an answer before too much longer.
Probably should. Yeah. And I don't understand, they got $9 million back earlier this year, then in the phone company thought another $3 million for broadband, so I don't know what areas would be left unserved when they do that, so.
This is going to be a Lena-Wisco footprint grant, so it's going to be for the whole region. It's Lee, Scott, Wise, and
Okay.
Norton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think they're asking for match from all localities to make it a regional,
Okay.
a regional approach that everybody's got skin in the game.
All right. And let me say something, which Mr. Tiff and I and Mike too serve on the Wisco board, and they really speak high praise of Scott County Telephone Co-op. The other counties, I mean, they're reaching out to them, and which they're a co-op and they're able to do it cheaper, I guess, than a lot of the other private entities, but they really speak high numbers, high praise, the numbers we get from them. Bill Franklin was there a couple of meetings ago, and they really praised them a lot for what they do, and the cost savings they have gone through them because they are a nonprofit, they're a co-op, and they how good they do with it. So, but they're in Russell County, Dixon County, even going parts of down into Tennessee, Hancock County, I think, Lee County, and so anyway, it ain't just a Scott County thing. I said one time I wish they'd change the name of it because they associate that with us because of the name. And so I said, we just clear that up. They're not part of this, our local government. They're a separate entity completely, but still they have the name and they associate us with it. I get emails and calls about some things when people are are unhappy with maybe the internet went out or something. They want to blame us. It's part of Scott County, so we get blamed for it. And anyway. All righty.
That's all I had.
Okay. Good job, thanks. Next item, y'all want to take a break before Mike comes up? Take a 5-minute break? Yes. Let's do it. Back in 5 minutes. I say 5, you do 10.
Stay.
Question.
It seems like yesterday, so some progress, but not a whole lot of change, so I didn't want to bring all that out again. But as far as projects, I can update you that our crew is working on up in the country in Dingus Hollow and hammering the rock up there and slow going. And but when they're done with that, they'll be moving on to waterline extension on Alley Valley, and then Robinette Valley, and then Hunters Valley West water. We are upgrading the Nicholsville wastewater plant, and bids are coming in, will be open a couple of weeks on that one. And we're working on our big Central Scott water project and ready to apply for funding. Been working with rural development on that one, and that's a big project. There's possibility of them funding a big chunk of it. We'll just have to see how the numbers check out. And they're still working on the sewer projects for Hilton's and Yuma, getting easements. That's the fight right now. Challenge right now is getting easements. But things are progressing, moving along. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
And did we get an easement at the Black Gun, for the Black Gun project?
I don't know that Ms. Bowen signed it.
I heard that she was planning to sign it.
She was ready to, she was ready to sign it. They went up there thinking she was going to sign it and didn't come back with a sign, but it sounds like it's imminent that she's going to sign it. Or something else, some other question they had.
Has material prices come down any, Mike?
They have not yet. No.
We discussed that. I was talking to Mike about that earlier. On like the bids.
Yes, it's a challenge to get the contractor bids down. It's still a big concern. We're still very concerned about the contractor bid prices. And so that we'll just wait and see what happens on the Black Gun.
And we had that discussion in our Lennowisco meeting, and I'm glad to see that the several counties are like you, holding your feet to the fire, so to speak, and
yes,
waiting till the prices get within reason where they should be.
Yes, yes, and so Black Gun Lane bids open towards the end of the month on that one.
I think all those bids are really going out the roof. I mean,
yeah, 3 to 5 times what the budgeted, what they should be, what they normally would be.
They said there was one in Lee County actually was $1 million over what was budgeted.
Yeah.
When they opened the bids on some project down there, it was $1 million higher.
The price per foot of water line is 3 to 5 times what it should be.
Well, I mean, I understand that, the price of some things have gone up, but I don't think, that much. Makes me think of, and I hate to say this, but, you have a hurricane come in or something like that, and you have these gougers that go down and they try to, go for the money. This just needs to be, within reason. And hopefully they'll realize that.
Yes.
These folks, because they're putting the bids out.
Yes.
One thing the contractors having trouble too is getting employees like everybody else. The workforce is.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
There's labor shortage everywhere. I don't know what the answer to that is. People been paid too much to stay home, in my opinion. But anyway, it's that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, our this money's, whatever monies are available, has to be accounted for. And folks just got to realize that.
But as far as the PSA operations, we were doing all right yesterday. Not been there enough today to know, but I think we're doing okay. No, seriously, things are going along fairly smoothly, and there's always challenges. water's flowing. So is the other stuff.
The one thing, the issue they had at Dungannon, I was there with your guys watching them work, and I'm telling you, they were down in the pit, mud, had to wave stuff on, but those guys, I mean, they were really working hard trying to get that leaks and stuff fixed, and but
Yeah, we're proud of them. They go after it.
they do, and I mean, top to
It's
toe
hard
watching
work.
It is hard work.
Yeah, and they're out, they're 24/7. I've known many times they didn't get sleep at night. They're on call on the weekend. They do a great job. Tim Van Zant and James Roden lead those guys. They do a great job.
Well, I was impressed with them. I sat there a couple hours watching them, and just,
Thank you.
They were.
I shared your sentiments with them.
And they were. And hope they got all the leaks detected and fixed over there. I'm hoping that they have, so.
There's always, you fix one, then another one falls.
One thing it was sort of getting off base a little bit, but they had a fitting there. It was like a 2-inch nipple. And it was put in a couple of years ago, and that nipple had split. And they said because of the content now, the metal, that it's not like it once was. And it was a new nipple, 2 years old, and it had split.
It's amazing what they call water the universal solvent, and it's true. It's amazing what water flow will do to a little imperfection in a piece of pipe or appurtenance. And they showed me that. It was a tiny hole in there.
It was, and it split right into threads. And I looked at it and I said, something to be 2 years old, it should have lasted longer than that. I mean, my goodness, it surprised me. Anything else for us?
That's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Dishman?
Ms. Hood asked me about a possible project on Bunker Road, and I'm going to look into that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Call me anytime.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
All right, down toward the end, item 20, comments, requests, recommendations from the board. Start with you, Mr. G. Do you have anything for us?
Frida and I went to a jail meeting, and they're getting ready to move some inmates out, I think. The DOC is. And I think we're gonna move 79, right, Frida?
I think so.
20 of them is from Scott County, is that right? So that'll help a little bit on the jail thing.
That it will. Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Tibbs.
Just thank the staff for all that they do to help us look good, and their hard work, their dedication. Just a comment on the school situation. We were hopeful, and I'm not sure what the answer is. I asked some afterwards, and I don't know yet what had happened. I know Terry had asked me and Frida and Bill. We met with 2 school board members and Mr. Ferguson, and there was we thought some grounds that were made in terms of enrollment fees and that sort of thing, and so we were hopeful that something would have come through with that, with our last board meeting, if you remember, but it didn't happen, and so we didn't know what happened there. And one of the things that we had discussed and talked about, was communication and better communication, and so I don't know what broke there. I really don't. The night before that we had a board meeting, then they had a board meeting and they voted 6-0, against it. So we were open. We were open up until that time to be supportive, and we still are, of our school system, and then at that time, of their raise. So that's just a question I had in my mind, and I haven't found an answer out yet, so I don't know. But I'm grateful to the decision that was made last night with regard to what Mike here had come and spoke to our board about last month. So we'll just thank the good Lord for that.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Harris.
Appreciate what everybody's doing. Appreciate to have Mr. Bricky back with us. That makes me glad. So glad you're doing better. Got a few things. Something I mentioned last meeting about Ponderosa Road and Luray Road. I don't know if they've been able to do anything or not, but we need to stay on top of that because both of those roads are going to be gone if something's not done. Bill, have you noticed if they've done anything over
No, you haven't seen them do anything. And you're talking about right there where the McCartys live, in that curve down that hill?
Going down where is Icicle, let's see, on past your all's pond and going down that hill.
Oh, like you're going on 540?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple of places then that need to be taken care of on the road.
But anyway, we need to stay on that. Ponderosa's the same way. We get another winter and something's not done, they'll be impassable. You won't be able to get across them. So, we talked about last week too. Mr. Mike talked about the trailer park in Nicholsville. Some things have been done, but there's still a lot of cleanup, and I'm not sure what we can do to help that. He showed me some pictures. It is bad. Of course, but if there's any ideas that we might be able to help that owner, of course it's privately owned, to get that cleaned. But I'm not sure if there's anything we can actually do. But if there's any ideas, from that. Marshall was talking about the school board's decision. I greatly appreciate their standing up to Richmond over that. So that's a step in the right direction. But communication is still key for us. I still feel like we have got to find some way to communicate with them. And I was thinking last night. I attended that meeting. Maybe we need to start at least one of us going to their meeting, and I'm willing to do that. If we'll and just participate, not to go and say anything, but just be there and listen and show that we're interested. We have to be able to communicate better with them. And one more thing. Of course, we know the decision we made about the teachers' raises. And I don't know if that's a ship that's sailed. I don't know where that'll end up. But of course, the county employees did not receive their raise. And something that I'd like for you all to think about, that is a 3% cost of living raise. All of us has worked on a regular job, and I'm sure all of us received those cost of living raises. Of course, we know the teachers did receive their 3%, and I feel like that the county employees should receive theirs too. So if that's something we need to think about. I'm not saying decide today, but we need to think about that and consider that. But
was it cost by $70,000 for it? The county employees got 3%.
It was in the 70 range.
78, I believe. But anyway, I feel like that's something we need to really think about. And that's all.
Was that 3 or 5% freedom?
That was 3.
That was a 3.
Okay.
Would you look at something, Frida, in terms of that, what he's discussing?
Just not since last time, but when we had that in the budget, it was in the high 70 range.
That's just something we need to think about. If we keep denying that just keeps getting further and further behind. So I feel like we need to think about that.
Something was discussed, I think, maybe the CARES Act money could be used for certain employees to be compensated something out of that. Do you remember, Freddie, what we said? Might be able to do with that.
It's not CARES Act, it would be the new pot of money.
The new pot, okay.
It's premium pay.
That's what I was.
Would that be select employees, or could we do everybody if we did that?
I would have to get more guidance on that.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. Good comments. Mr. Bricky, you have anything?
Yes, I would. If I could take a couple of minutes just to explain to you where I've been. Last October, November, some of you know, I thought I was having back problems. I had MRIs and everybody told me my back and hips were good. And then I was sent by my family doctor to have a biopsy of my upper arm. That was sent out west, I think, to Arizona, and they came up with a prognosis of necrotizing myopathy, which is very rare. I started treatment for that. Within 2 weeks, I had extreme pain in my stomach, went to the hospital and had an operation. I had 3 to 4 foot of my stomach, small intestines taken out, which was not related to the necrotizing myopathy, which is a muscle disease. From there, I went to a rehab for 2 days, back to Holston Valley, did the stomach surgery. Then I went to a rehab for 2 days, went back to Bristol Memorial. I've been in all 3 hospitals in the last 2 months, flat on my back. And this week, I got some good news. I went Monday for an evaluation with a physical therapist to see if I qualified for water therapy. During that evaluation, I stood for the first time in 3 months. And it felt so good. I did qualify for the water therapy. I'll go twice a week for the water therapy. And the standing showed me that my muscles in my legs and hips were not dead. If they were not dead, they are willing to give me I have to go to the cancer center, but it's an IV, which will probably help. I've got a specialist now that had a career at Vanderbilt, and she's been in touch with Vanderbilt. So at this point, I have got hope.
Amen.
Amen. Bless his heart.
But on all these other subjects, which I'm very anxious to get back into and be involved in as long as I can, I hope I can come and be with you when I can find some better mobilization. I can't handle this wheelchair I'm in right now very well. Don't have anything to transport it with, and I can't walk, of course. So hopefully, though, after these treatments, I'll be able to at least get around. But the school system, Jeremy, you're exactly right, and Marshall, you're right. We need transparency. I saw where a school board member on our news said that he thought there was around 100 students from out of county, from Tennessee. And our predictions, the supervisors, I think, are around 400 to 500, and I think that's correct. But like I said earlier, the voters need to get involved in this. Either way you're on, we can go either way. I'm kind of on the middle ground. I've got students that I had that are sending their kids back to Scott County for educations, and on the other hand, I understand where the teachers are coming from. So if I had been with you during this discussion, it would have been hard for me, but I think I know which way I would have leaned. I think the school board needs to possibly get people from outside to come in and take a look at our county, at our school system, and the way the schools are set up and the way that the money's being handled, and just do an independent study, even if it costs us quite a bit, and let them give us some recommendations on how to go. If taking kids from Tennessee is okay, let's go over there and put an ad in the paper, come to Scott County. But if it's not, let's start getting rid of those kids, or at least charging tuition. And we need to take a look at our school plan too. We need to see what we're going to do as far as our buildings are going. We're putting a lot of money into rehab. They tell you in administrative classes that 50 years is the life of a public building, and a lot of our schools are much, much older than that. I guess the newest one is the addition to Twin Springs in the 70s, early 70s, or the addition to the middle school. And we need to take a look at that. But don't want to take too much time. It's just good to be back with you, even if it is on Skype. And I appreciate Matt working with me, and Bill, and everybody that put this together. Debbie especially. She set me up this morning before she went to work. But I appreciate all of you. I really do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. It is good having you on here. I mean, it really is. We've missed you. We prayed for you, and just thank God you're able to do this, what you're doing. So, and welcome back.
And you're still on our prayer list.
Absolutely.
Mike.
All right. Ms. Hood.
It's great to see you, Mike. I've missed you so much, but I'll be glad when you're back here beside me. And I agree with what has been said about the school board. They need to be accountable to the taxpayers of Scott County. And I'm having residents of Scott County contact me. Actually, we talk about our taxes not being paid. I mean, I'm having people say they're not paying their taxes because they're not going to support educations for out-of-state people. I think these are reputable people. I think they'll still pay their taxes, but they're upset over one of the school board members said that we had an open county. Anybody could come in and go to our schools. And I, as one resident, I'm not for open borders for my country nor my county. So I won't beat that to death. Everybody knows how I feel about it, and I guess I've been one of the most hated, talked about people on this board, and that's okay too, because I stick up for the taxpayers of Scott County, and I will continue to do so. I've even had people ask me, would I run for school board? If I were on the school board, I would feel differently than what the 6 on there, how they feel. I've also been asked to run for treasurer, but I don't have any plans to do either of those. Other issues, I'm having people ask me about internet. When will they get upgraded? And I suspect, like in rural areas, because I'm in a rural area, and I tell them, you know, I've had the same internet for a long time, and I don't suspect it's going to be anytime soon that we'll get upgraded. I look for businesses and places that, you know, need it more than we do maybe personally getting upgraded first, but you know, I don't know that. I haven't talked with anybody at Scott County Telephone Company. And I'm getting contacted about weeds. It's weed cutting time, and I have had some personal issues. I've not had an opportunity to check with VDOT about the plans for cutting weeds in Scott County. And that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Creevy.
It is so good to see you, Mike. It really is. And to hear your voice, even if it is just on Skype, I mean, you were definitely a missing part of this board, and we missed you. A couple of things. So I had a citizen contact me and was talking about a resolution that he thought we would be inclined to do for, and I'll throw this out there, and it's a resolution that it's for the jail, so it's in support of when a inmate gets that sentence, excuse me, of when they're going to be put to state custody, right? So that gets them out of puts them over into that to support.
If they get sentenced to more than 2 years or more, then they go to DOC.
Mm-hmm. So when they receive that sentence, at that moment is when they turn state custody, right? Or that we relieve them of we release custody, technically speaking. Is that how that works?
Financially?
Yeah.
The state does pay a portion of the care for their responsible inmates, but it's not the whole amount.
Right. So we're still responsible at that point, okay. But I've got more information on it, and I will send it out to everybody and let you look at it before we do anything else. But I did want to mention that. And what it would be to, you know, what would be good is if we could get this resolution done for all of the counties that actually are involved with the regional jail, so that it would sort of send a message to Mr. Pillion and, you know, kind of give them the idea or the information about how that we support our, you know, them putting that, you know, their sentence. Things. I've got it all in an email. I'll send it to you. And but I think that would be a good thing because of the money situation and how we're going to go forward. Because I mean, we got CARES Act money this year to kind of cover that state cost, didn't we? We used CARES money for that. I mean, that's not going to be a every year type thing. So I think it would be good to have a plan, you know, for that later on. I do thank everybody, all the staff, and especially the citizens too, for reaching out over the whole school situation. There were some good conversations I had, some hard conversations I had. But at the end of the day, I hope and pray that, you know, we can all work together at some point, because that's the key. You know, that's the idea. I want to see us working together as Scott County, not as two separate entities supporting Scott County. I want to see us working as one. And I guess that's all I have.
Just real quickly to Ms. Kruby's point, and the citizen, it's great to hear someone that has an interest in trying to help a fix.
Yes.
Okay.
It was. And it was a very prominent citizen as well. He reached out to me as a citizen, not as in the capacity that he held, which was great.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. One thing about the inmate population back, it's been, I had been on this board too long. Darrell and I was on it, and nobody knew, but had questioned, I guess, that there was 29 inmates then that should have been moved to Department of Corrections. And so we wrote letters, and Bill Carrico was state senator then, and they got it down to like 17 or something. They didn't take them off. But the whole thing of this happened when the regional jail thing first happened in 2005. It was 1 year. Then after that, they went to Department of Corrections. And when he got it in place, the state changed it, I don't know, the general assembly, whoever, to 2 years. Okay, they got everybody into the system. Then it went from $16 per diem even down to $4. So they suckered everybody in. Then you can't get out. You can, but it's about practically cannot get out of it. Then they changed the rules 5 years later. Once you get into it, they changed the rules. It went from 1 year to 5 years. Then it caused overcrowding. And so they had to spend like $35 million, that's regional jail wide, to make them bigger, because now you're overpopulated. And so the way the state handled this from the beginning, it was horrible to the localities what they did. And then we had those 29 inmates should have been moved out. They had more than 2 year sentence. They wouldn't take them. This was way before COVID. And so some with medical conditions, they weren't equipped to take them, so we had to keep them. But there were so many reasons they threw out there, and we couldn't do anything about it. Stuck with it. So anyway, I don't know. It's just you beat this to death. Thing. And in 2005, I would have voted to go to the regional jail approach because it was a good deal for everybody. And we can go back to the other stuff in my comments. The Scott County Fair is going to happen at the horse park in Dungannon with the carnival. They got the brochures will be coming out. They're printing them as we speak about what they're going to do. And so Pam Cox has been a big part of it on the tourism side of it. She has been a big help to them getting that up and running. It's starting that Wednesday and go through Saturday, 4 days of it. And so the people, the carnival people's going to be there. It's going to be a really, really good thing for Scott County. So if you can come be a part of it, they're going to have some pretty good stuff. One thing they decided to do, they want to give all the board here a pass to get in there when you come every day. If you can, come and see what's going on, where the $5,000 we appropriate for them, and it's very, very, very much needed. They're spending a lot to get this done, but they do want you to come, and they're going to give you a pass to get you in every day, and you can see for yourself what's happening with it and where it's going. So anyway, I want to plug that a little bit and get everybody's attention on that. Let me talk about the school board for a second. I understand where they're coming from on this funding thing. If they ever lose the amount of funding that they would lose if they don't accept those out-of-county, out-of-state students, it would be a tremendous hit on their budget. But my thoughts is this: they're not going to lose funding because they have a revenue source. It's called tuition or enrollment fee. The enrollment fee I thought was the best ideal. If you do the tuition, then that amount, you lose that amount from the state and from us if you do the tuition. If they did the enrollment fee, then they wouldn't. I really thought, when we voted here, I really thought that they would do something. A school board member put this on social media. I'm not going to say who it was, but says there will be no tuition fees for an education in Scott County for out of state or out of county. The Board of Education voted a strong 6-0 today for a no charge. We welcome all for a great education from our well-educated teachers and staff. We can't stop the growth of the largest employer in a declining county. And so, to do this, I mean, they're advertising to bring more. A school board member told me it's an easy fix: raise taxes. Folks, today we raise taxes to educate people or kids. It's not about those kids. It's just all about why you have to charge something. It cannot be free. It cannot be on the backs of our farmers and our homeowners in Scott County to educate these out of county, out of state students. Now, a lady from Lee County approached me. They got 18 coming from Lee County. When they closed the school in Stickleyville, instead of going to Jonesville, they come to Duffel. It's a number of 18 just from that one area. They said 100. I said 400. That's an estimate. We did a FOIA request. They would not give us the numbers. And I think we could have pursued that through the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and forced that information from them. If the people of Scott County are paying to educate these kids, where are they coming from? And we do not want addresses. And maybe we can FOIA you again and say we do not want the addresses. We don't know where they're from. We want to know if they're out of the county. That's all we're asking, how many. And so I think we should FOIA them again and copy that to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. For I think we have a legal right to do that. And they denied that last year when we sent that, saying that the information we wanted, it was invasion of privacy about their addresses. We don't want that. Are they out of the county or out of the state? I'm not much for those kids from Lee County or Russell County. I know some come to Nicholsville, and I'm not much for them paying tuition. But if we pursue this, then I will be. So we need to know, and we need to know where they're from and who we're paying for. And honestly, I even thought about a letter to get an Attorney General's opinion on this. Are we required to pay for out-of-state students? I don't think we are. I believe it's illegal. The way the code is written, you have to pay for the education of the kids in your district, meaning in your county. We're required to do that. So, anyway, your all's thoughts on this, but I think we need to do another FOIA request and copy that to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for prosecution. Because I really believe that we have a right to know who we're educating. The people in this county needs to know where they're from. Now, I take it they're playing hardball with us, with the county. To say this, we welcome all of them. Let's advertise. Let's go to Kentucky and advertise. Free education in Scott County costs you nothing. As even said, we have to build bigger schools. Can you imagine that, us building bigger schools to educate out-of-state kids? It's not about those kids. Those kids are probably wonderful kids. But, and I asked this in their meeting. I said, why does anybody charge tuition? They looked at each other. is to cover your cost. That's why they do it. Why do colleges charge tuition? Is to cover their cost. Okay, that's what we're asking here, to help cover some of this cost. And so, and I still stick with the 400 number. They said 100, even if it's 100, it's 100 too many that we're paying for. If you do the math, it's about $11,000 a kid. If it's 400, that's $4,400,000 being paid from this state, this county, to educate those out-of-state kids. So I really believe we should do another FOIA request and copy that to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, so for prosecution if we don't get it. Because what we're asking for, the answer they gave us was bogus. It was wrong. That was not what we asked for. We did not want addresses. We want to know where they're, what area they're from. Are they from south of the border? That's what we asked, or from another county. Your all's thoughts, do a FOIA request and copy that to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we are the governing body, and if we ask for that, they should be able to give us that information.
I think so too. And the response we got to me, which I didn't pursue it, is not acceptable. That was not a response that we were asking for, and the way it was from Mr. Ferguson, the way it was written, that is not what we asked for. But I think we should do another FOIA request and to be copied to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for prosecution if we don't get it. And I'm gonna hold that 100 number. I think the chairman of the board said it's 100 thereabout. Well, if he knows that, give it to us. Instead of making a statement on the news media, it's 100. I said 400. I'm guessing. I'm guessing. So, your thoughts?
So is negotiations with them over, you think? I mean, have they said anything else since they voted no?
I haven't heard from them.
I mean, is that it?
And they're scared about their funding. I understand where they're coming from, because if they lose that funding, I don't know how really they can operate. But here's my take on it. They have a funding source. It's called tuition or enrollment fee. They have a funding source. It should not be the taxpayers of Scott County. That should not be their funding source. And I know that the enrollment numbers are down in the rural areas, but the schools closest, which I don't have the information, this is speculation. The enrollment numbers at the closest schools to the state line are high, and the other schools are low. And they're scared of their funding source. I understand that, but they've got to work through that and make whatever cuts. I don't see teacher layoffs coming, but what I do see is adjustments made through attrition or whatever to make up for this. And if those people really want to come, have one lady call me from Kingsport. She's a teacher in Kingsport. She's willing to pay. How much? I said, I don't know. It's a school board decision. She has 4 kids coming here, and she wants to know how much. So, and she said, for her kids to go to school where she teaches is $6,000. That's with the 50% discount. She lives in Sullivan County. She teaches in Kingsport, but her cost would be $6,000. Just to go to Kingsport City Schools where she works, that's with the 50% discount. So we bring them here and charge 0. And why the school board can't see that, it's not fair to the taxpayers in this county. We're fussing here about not collecting taxes. We have a revenue source here that the school board could be using, and they refuse to use it. It's called tuition or enrollment fee. I know Mr. Kilgore got involved in that, and that's what he came up with. And that way, it would not hurt them. It would not hurt them financially to do the enrollment fee rather than the tuition. And I was okay with that. But anyway, they got to do something. This thing that they posted, welcoming more, raise taxes, easy fix to raise taxes. That's what I was told. Do you want to do a FOIA request? Another one.
Well said, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike.
I think we should.
Oh, absolutely.
And use the verbiage that he used, that we don't want that. We don't want the address. We don't want where these kids, their address where they live. We don't want that. We want to know the total number, and do they reside south of the border or are they in another county? I think if we pursue this, we go after these other counties too. If they're Lee County, Russell County, go after them all. They can do it, deal with the Tennessee students, or if we do it, we go after all of them. So it's their call. If that's what they want to do, then, and I honestly believe that we could get an opinion from the Attorney General's office about us. Is it legal for us to pay for out-of-state students' education? I believe we'd probably get an answer that it's not required for us to do that. I got an email or a message from a guy who was the executive director at Leno Wisco, and he's kept up with this. And he said in Wise County, up to a few years ago, if you lived in a different area, you had to pay to go to a different school in the same county. If you lived in Coburn, you had to pay extra to go to St. Paul, even all in Wise County, you still had to pay if you went to a different school that you were out of your district, out of where you lived.
Sure.
So that just changed back a few years ago. Here, we can't even charge from people living in Hawkins County or Sullivan County or Kingsport. We can't charge for that. It's ludicrous to me to allow happen what's happened here in our county. Your all's thoughts. Do another FOIA request and copy to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for legal prosecution if they
I'm
don't.
okay with that,
come up
Mr.
with it.
Chairman, but I also think that we need to, I addressed this and Jeremy did as well. We need to be able to communicate. So we need to try to set up a joint meeting. Y'all may have done this one time before, so we can sit down and have communication with the board, the school board, and our board. I think that needs to happen.
Down the road, but right now probably not, because if we do what I'm asking here, my suggestion only, that events is somewhere we do, but right now they probably want to hear from me. Because when I seen that, welcoming more and more to come, and even said if they have to, it's even said if we have another 1,000 come, we'd love it. We'll build a bigger school.
That's all more the reason why, Mr. Chairman. I think we ought to be able to communicate.
Oh, I do. I agree.
Between our boards.
Yeah.
And it's okay that you can have your personal opinion, I can have our personal opinion. But I think as entities of the county, I mean, we've got to find a common ground and be able to work together. And I think Jeremy spoke about it, or somebody did last night. We have to put our differences aside and be able to bring to the table, the common good of what we can discuss.
I thought we did that here when they came and they spoke. So, but when they met, it is strong 6-0 against any charge other than the taxpayers of the county and the Commonwealth. Then
right. I get that, and so that's a board member going to social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's largely, and I'm grateful that for this last episode that none of our board members chose to go that route. Going to social media. We operated without the social media and got the word out before, and we just have to be careful of what we air out there in the public, and sometimes does more damaging than it does good. And what you just shared with us, that was not good.
Yeah.
And I don't like what was said in that, and I think probably most of the board members, they can speak for themselves. But yet at the same time, we need to find common ground. We need to be able to sit down.
Well, I agree, and eventually that will come.
I think they need to be accountable. I think this board is doing all that we can for the county and trying to get the school board to be accountable to this county. And until they are, it's just a problem.
Well, it'd be a revenue issue for them, no doubt. They'd have to make a lot of adjustments, and but anyway, but they have a revenue source. It's called tuition or enrollment fee. They have it. They just won't take advantage of it.
Accountable school boards do that all over the country. I lived in a county and I paid tuition in that same county because my son went to city schools. So, and I paid a hefty amount.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. I mean, I'm surprised this has gone on as long as it has. But the taxpayers are going to have to voice their opinions on it. Because some of them say, well, it doesn't matter how many students go. That doesn't count into the cost of the school system. That's ridiculous. Of course, the number of students makes a difference. If you had no students, you'd have no school. But anyway, I mean, I've even had school system employees contact me and ask me, why do the people in the school system not understand about the problem of out-of-state students coming to our schools? So there are some school system employees who do get it.
Yeah. And they're afraid to voice their opinion because of, they might, I don't say retaliate against them, but there's consequences if they voice their opinion publicly. But anyway.
That's true.
Y'all want to do this, we vote to send a new FOIA request, and the verbiage reading that we do not want addresses, we want to know what county and what state they're from.
I think you've got most of us.
Okay. Well, I need a motion. We need to authorize.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
All right, to
Yes.
authorize Ms. Kegley to do that. All right, Mr. Tipton made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Jeter, second. Any other discussion? We discussed it a lot, but any more? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
My situation has changed. I'm going to abstain.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so it's 6-1 abstention, so, all right, in favor of doing that. So, Ms. Kegley, do you need any information from us, anything else to do that?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. If you do, you know how to reach us, you can reach out to us, but I think it's pretty clear what we want. And I could use the verbiage he used in that letter on the last one, that's not what we want. We don't want names, we don't want addresses, telephone numbers, we just want to know where they're from. And I think that is a fair request, considering we are the funding agent for that part.
And you want to copy the Attorney General, right?
On this, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office at this time.
Commonwealth Attorney, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You want the number, the total number? Do you want it broken down? Out of state? And then Virginia counties, or?
Yeah, I would say the out-of-state, one category, and out-of-county would be a second.
Do I need to amend my motion to say that?
Probably not. I mean, it's.
He asked if I
Okay.
needed anything, or I'm asking for clarification about what you want.
Well, there's folks in my church that live up in Big Moccasin, and they come to Nicholsville, and they want to know, are we going to be included in this? They don't want to go to Lebanon, to school, and they're closer to Nicholsville and Twin Springs. So I said, well, we're working on it with the school board issue, that we're trying to get them to understand that we got to have some funding help on this. And it's going to get higher. I don't know the number since they consolidated schools in Sullivan County. And I had one lady even tell me, would you want your kid going down 26 and 81 to school every day? And I said, no. But I said, we can't fix Sullivan County's problem. They created that. We didn't create that. So, it's, and they're opening it this year, and I don't know the numbers. They've gone up here, and we usually get an adjustment toward the end of the year about an increase, and we end up having to pay our part of that, because they have an increase in enrollment. This past year, was it 60-something extra, do you remember?
I don't remember the number. It was, I think, $20-some thousand.
So it wouldn't have been bad. Now, we had to pay, they had additional enrollment numbers that they had at the beginning of the year that went up at the end of the year. So we had to back up and pay that amount. All right, I think it's a fair request from them. That's all I have on my part of it. Anything else before we close? All right, need a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, I'd like to offer up a prayer for Mike.
We will.
All right, let's do that. Yeah. We'll just do that where we're sitting. This is for you, Mike. Father, we give you praise, we give you honor, we give you glory for your name. And Father, we pray for Mike. We are saddened by the trouble he's had to go through. I know what I have been through for the last 3.5 years, and I'm so very appreciative of the support that I've gotten from not only our board members, but the citizens of our county. And our Father, we just encourage others to pray likewise for Mike. Very touched by what he spoke about this morning. Just being able to stand. And we give you praise for that.
Yes.
We thank you for that.
Thank you.
And for this therapy that will follow, that he got approved for. And for the folks at Vanderbilt, great physicians, great doctors there. And we just pray, Father, that you'll work through them and helping Mike to get back in the seat, back in the saddle, so to speak. And just thankful for him being Skyped in this morning and sharing his thoughts with us and being part of our board and of what we're doing. And we just give you praise, we give you honor, we give you glory for your work that you're doing. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. It's much to adjourn.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you, brother.
I'll make the motion.